Welcome back to Hey Kentucky. For this segment, we wanted to bring back a friend of the show, Adam Edelen, the former state auditor and gubernatorial candidate. First up, Adam, how are you, my friend, coping in
Well,
this
this
healthy
has
at
been
home
tough.
era?
It's been tough on the extroverts, as you can imagine, and
Yes.
so I like people. I like being around people. We're hunkered down. I'm reading a lot, going on a lot of walks with Melissa and and trying to keep track of my boys. But I'm in the same boat as everybody else.
Yep, just waiting for it to be over. But we've got some interesting stuff today, my friend. So let's get
Yep.
to it. Lexington Congressman Andy Barr went on a Twitter rant today a little bit about China and the coronavirus. His posts read, quote, "I am calling on leadership in Congress to establish a bicameral joint select oversight committee to investigate the origins of COVID-19 in China, the Chinese Communist Party cover-up, and lies about the person-to-person transmission, and the Chinese scheme to consolidate personal protective equipment in China to use as leverage against the international community, including the United States." Adam, I don't know that I'm a huge believer in the Chinese government, but what do you make of Andy Barr going after them today?
Well, I think there's going to be a time and a place for all of this. But I think right now our government needs to be focused on just two things. The first is making sure that we manage the health crisis that we're currently in. And the second is making sure that, we're able to have a sustainable economy coming out of this. And that is a whole lot to focus on. There's a lot in question. And certainly there's going to be a time and place for investigations. I'm generally hawkish on China. I don't think there's any doubt that they underreported the number of cases. I don't think there's any doubt that they took far too long to report the scope and scale of this healthcare pandemic to the rest of the world. But Andy just needs to settle down a little.
Yeah.
Tune in to Governor Beshear at 5 o'clock, our collective Xanax hour,
Yeah.
and just relax. And there is going to be a time and a place for that. The Chinese ought to be held accountable. And Mary Jo, we need to investigate how this country was so underprepared to have sufficient PPE stockpiles to deal with this. There are lots of questions that need to be answered, but right now let's focus on taking care of one another and making sure that there's an economy when we come out of it.
All right. Speaking of that, there's been some back and forth between Amy McGrath and Mitch McConnell, as you might imagine. She accused him of seeking a political windfall from an economic package while this crisis worsens. Here's a clip from one of her recent ads.
He's already taking a victory lap against the coronavirus in TV ads. Even though medical experts say hundreds of thousands of Americans could die, millions are being laid off. And he actually blocked emergency research until drug companies could overcharge for vaccines. What good is a powerful senator if he's hurting us?
So, Adam, it's not all Mitch McConnell's fault by any stretch, and he didn't save everyone from it either.
There's going to be a time and a place for politics when we get out of this. But MJ, this is what I would point out. If these two are going at each other this aggressively in the middle of a pandemic, imagine what it's going to look like when we get back to normal life. And
it'll be brutal.
So much money, unlimited money for these two to go after each other. There's going to be a lot of blood on the ground as a result of this campaign. I just wish both campaigns would take a minute and try to be a little more positive at this time and place. Because we just don't need the negativity. I mean, there's already enough of it. We're all trying to manage the craziness of lives that have been reset. Let's just get through this, and then we can get back to the status quo. But for now, I really wish everybody would calm down a bit.
Well, you mentioned it, record-breaking fundraising numbers. First quarter represent the highest fundraising quarter in history and the most ever cash on hand for any campaign in Kentucky's history. A few hours after that announcement yesterday, McGrath upped the ante by reporting that she took in nearly $13 million during that same period, with about the same amount of cash available. McGrath, she's dramatically ahead of fundraising from her other Democratic candidates. There is so much money involved here, Adam.
It's unbelievable, and my friend, it is a great time to be in the TV station business, because the amount of money that these folks are going to put on the air running ads against each other, it amounts to its own bailout. So I guess we can thank McConnell and McGrath for a very specific bailout for the TV stations in Central Kentucky. Listen, Mitch McConnell is the issue in this race, and he is nationally known, and he is revered by his side and despised by everybody else. So the amount of money that McGrath is going to be able to raise is extraordinary, and I do believe that she will outraise him. I think what will balance the scales for Senator McConnell is he'll have an unlimited amount of super PAC support, and that could make the difference. But this is going to be a aggressive barroom brawl all the way to the November election, and the people of Kentucky are going to get so sick of seeing these ads, but they're going to be everywhere. They already seem like they're in every other segment.
They'll be inundated. Yep. All right, let's revisit President Trump's beef with Thomas Massie, the 4th District Congressman who launched a new ad campaign depicting the two Republicans as players on the same team.
I first ran for Congress because I knew we were in the fight of our lives. It's us against the radical liberals for the future of our country. The more battles you, President Trump, and I have won together, the more extreme the left has become. We have to fight.
Literally, President Trump said Massie should be evicted from the Republican Party. So what do you make of this, Adam?
Well, Tom Massie has got a big problem other than acting like a buffoon on the national scale when we needed to get this stimulus package. Proof positive that you can simultaneously hold a master's degree from MIT and act like an idiot. One of the few things I agree with President Trump on is that Thomas Massie is not the kind of guy that we need in a crisis like this. And I think Massie just is doing a lot of political damage control, trying to reintegrate into the people's eyes that Donald Trump is a supporter of his. He's got a big problem. Donald Trump is far more popular than the Republican brand in Northern Kentucky, and he's a lot more popular than Thomas Massie. This is Congressman Massie trying to clean up his mess.
Adam, so good to hear your voice and see your face. Stay safe, my friend. Can't wait till we're doing this in the same room again.
Me too. Good to see you, friend. Stay safe.
You too. All right, more Hey Kentucky right after this.